Is everything okay in the background?
My background.
Yeah,
1 second. Give me 1 second. Let me just tell the
no
guys that they're
problem.
selling a. Abid, yo, shut the door and go a bit quiet. I'm just on a call.
Okay, khair, we're live, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi everyone. Jazakallah for joining us for the second episode of Chit Chat Chai's Let's Talk Careers series. Um, Today you'll have myself, Tahmid. You've seen me on plenty of the episodes by now. I've been working with Faith Spell for a very long time. I'm joined by Sister Nadia. Yep.
Assalamualaikum everyone.
And our guest today is Brother Shafiq, Brother Qazi Shafiqur Rahman, who is going to be introducing himself, inshallah.
Inshallah, thank you. Thank you for having me. Shall I introduce myself or?
Yep, go for it. Yeah.
Well, I'm mostly known for my involvement and activities with Firnas, the aviation company. But before that, I have, along with my brothers, started Sunnah Mosque. And for those of you who don't know Sunnah Mosque is a British Arabian fragrance house where we not only retail, but we also manufacture our own fragrances. We started that in 2009, and alhamdulillah, we're 12 years old now. And what we have done with Sunnah Mosque is we've started off with £600 capital, and we've organically grown that company without any bank loans, banking overdrafts, credit cards, external shareholders. So alhamdulillah, it was all organic growth and blessing from Allah and our parents' du'as, and the support from our beloved customers, and of course our family and friends, who have kind of, held our hands when we faced difficulties and challenges. However, before that, we migrated from Bangladesh as a whole family in 1997. I was born in 1986, so that makes me 34-year-old, I believe. I don't celebrate birthdays.
Still young, mashallah.
We're not quite up to date with the. I mean, we don't remind ourselves. Anyway, yeah, born in 86. My father came to this country as an imam back in 86. And then we migrated in 1997. Alhamdulillah, between 1997 and 2005, I've done education, initially starting off with going to Stepney Green School where I knew nothing, I knew nobody. Effectively, I was the freshie of the boat, as you call it. Yes, I did get bullied before you asked the question. But I kind of gained that credibility. And that brings me back to 2020, where I did the Azan in Canary Wharf as well. So if you guys have heard the Azan in Canary Wharf in Ramadan, that was myself. And back in school, I used to do Azan as well. So that kind of gave me that respect at the end where I didn't have to be bullied anymore. So alhamdulillah, the Azan saved me.
Wow.
But yeah, my first job was an aircraft cleaner in London City Airport. I've done various jobs here and there, like before and after, but that was nothing kind of significant. And then I lost my job in 2007 as a result, not 2007, 2008, as a result of credit crunch in 2008. And then I've done minicabbing for a year at night. That kind of burning the midnight oil kind of got to me. And then alhamdulillah, by Allah's mercy. And by the way, by then I've already failed a few businesses, like that was various businesses, including car trading, car rental here and there, even to a point where we had a sweet shop as well. But none of them worked. And once we kind of failed, then we realized what went wrong. And alhamdulillah, I've kept a diary of all the mistakes that I've made that I shouldn't make in the near future. And then Sunnah Mosque was proposed by my second brother, whose name is Qazi Lutf Rahman, who's the Imam in Regent's Park Mosque, the only Asian, the first Asian, I would say, to be appointed as an Imam in London Central Mosque. He's a perfume geek or fanatic, whatever you want to call it.
Mm.
He had his own collection of fragrances. So what he said was, look, I really love fragrances and I want to do something with fragrances. So you've got some business background and experience and knowledge. How about I send you guys some stock from Egypt, where he was studying at that time in Al Azhar University. So we put together £600, literally £600. We still have the first invoice of £600 of stock. And he sent it over, and we started trading soon after. And the first trade was in Ibrahim College, where there was an event behind the Islam Mosque. We sold about £28 worth of perfumes, and we're like, wow, this is amazing. That feeling was amazing, where you kind of start so small and then you start generating money. And then we started going to events here and there, like, on and off between my night minicabbing job at that time. So as you can imagine, like working all night and then, you're kind of tired all day.
Yep.
But alhamdulillah, we done trading, like, in various events, fun fairs, community events. And then the most consistent one was the Friday Jummah prayer, where we had like 30 minutes window to sell whatever we could, basically. Normally we'd sell about 60 worth or something. But alhamdulillah, that was really good, because that was like literally zero overheads and just sales. And then that kind of gave us the head start to kind of grow the inventory and grow the brand. The advantage that we had was, within our brothers, alhamdulillah, we share many skills. So Abid, who's the youngest and who's the current CEO of Sonomas, he done the branding and the design, the whole branding aspect. And from day one, we had this vision, like, yes, we are like selling from the back of our boot, behind the mosque in fun fairs, events, but we had this big vision that we want to follow the big boys and how the mainstream companies do things, because you always got inspired by how they do things, and we wanted to be like them, and we had that vision through that, and we still do. So yeah, alhamdulillah, things worked out really well, I must say. However, none of that happened just by themselves. It took a lot of hard work. On my part, at least at that time. Abid was still going to school, so he couldn't really join me in Whitechapel Market, where we had like a lot of grafting, where we done stalls in the summer of 2010. And throughout the summer, we done stalls, and every day, like, we'd go, every day in there, we'd go there. It came to a point where I went to once Sunday market, and I was myself, and I set up a pitch, and it was so windy that day. And I could remember like holding down tent with one hand and trying to show perfume with the other, and so no, it kind of took a lot of determination and focus, which I'm sure we'll come to later on in the show, if you have time, of course. So it was a lot of hard work. It didn't happen all by itself. A lot of people are under the illusion that, business is all good, you just start off and, invest. A lot of people have money, and, mashallah, a lot of people are smart and a lot of people make it. But however, there are vast majority who think it will just happen by itself. No, it doesn't happen by itself. Everyone that asks me about business these days, I say, listen, you want to do business? Okay, find a niche that you want
to stop you there, because that is one of our questions. We want to ask you, what is the advice you would give?
All right, cool. All right, go on. I think my introduction, man. Sorry, I just stole your whole show, and I went right.
No. This is why you are here.
Apologies for that.
No, this is why you're here.
So did you always want to become an entrepreneur? So when you were at Stepney Green School, my dad went there actually. I'm pretty sure he wasn't thinking of like business ideas when he was messing around there. But were you always interested in entrepreneurship, setting up your own business, or did you have like other dreams or aspirations?
Absolutely. Entrepreneurship has always been something that I wanted to do. But when you have migrated and, you really can't share your vision and dreams with everyone, because then you will become a laughing stock. So yes, it's somewhere in your heart, it's hidden away, but you kind of like, always want to do it. So one example would be back in, I think, 2000 and what, year 2000 or so, there was this whole uprising in Bangladesh where they banned the fatwa. And there was this whole uprising, and I saw an opportunity where the person that they kind of jailed, the sheikh they jailed, he had a book series and audio tape series. So I kind of copied a lot of that. And there was demonstrations in Altabali Park and all of that. And, you know, I would go and sell the cassettes and, you know, the books of the sheikh. And I remember I sold this whole like set once, and it was an amazing feeling. However, yeah, I built the whole table with my own hand as well, because we didn't have the capital. But it was, all of this was just, I'm sharing this story to show you an example that it was always in me. I think certain people are just born with this hunger, and certain people are not just born with it, and it's fine. They can do work and they can be very successful in work as well.
Yeah.
So would you say like entrepreneurship is something you'd want to inspire in other people?
I think in my, well, the way I see entrepreneurship is getting something, making something out of nothing, like where you have this idea and then you have this concept in your head, and then you take it forward, and it's like you breathe soul into it in a way, and then you bring that brand to life, and then you see people coming and buying those whatever you're selling from that brand, and then it becomes a working system, and then people are employed by it, and then, you know, that's the, I think, whole thing. For me, this is the kind of kick out I get out of entrepreneurship, when there is nothing, and then you create something, and then it becomes something.
Okay, no, yeah, it's just really amazing to hear that it's more the entrepreneurship that drives you than the money. But then you went from Sunnah Mosque to starting your own airline. How does that happen? People dream of owning private planes, yes, but starting your own airline is something else entirely. How did you get there?
Do you know what it is? Like, even before Sunnah Mosque, so I've always had this thing about aviation. So if I go to airport and if I see, you know, air crew walking past, it really kind of motivates me. If I smell the jet fuel, it motivates. It's like the smell of jet fuel is like, it's, to
Like
me,
glue.
it smells like scent. That's how bad. Okay, and there are a group of people, they have this thing about aviation, just like other people who have thing about motorsports or football. You know, AvGeeks, they have, it's all about planes. It's all about everything to do with about planes. I did take a few flying lessons, and coming back to 2008, where I had to stop because I had no job. And each flying lesson was costing, what, £150 an hour. And I couldn't support it. Then I thought, you know what, I'm going to start Sunnah Mosque, and I'm going to make money, and I'm going to like, you know, still continue with my flying vision. And then I realized, actually, I think I can probably be better at business. So I thought, you know what, okay, put flying to a side for now. Let me kind of build my credibility, my profile, and my whatever I could, you know, show for. And then maybe one day I can tap into the aviation business in it. So because you read books, I've got a lot of books here, you know, that inspire you to think big. And I know many people would hate me for sharing this. Well, this is one book that I read.
Yallah, okay, we need to cut the live stream.
No, listen.
Yeah.
Put Trump aside, okay? But this is the part that really kind of gets you thinking. And I don't want to go into political discussions here, but if you look at him as a human being, as a person, from him to become what he was, and then becoming the most powerful leader in the world, it takes a lot of thinking big. Yeah. And that's what kind of, in a way, I would say, inspired me to think bigger than, you know, you would probably think. And he says that if you're going to think anyway, then you might as well think big, because it's not going to really, like, you know, make a difference.
Yeah.
So it had to start with thinking big. you really have to think big. And to be honest, just going into aviation doesn't mean I'm thinking really big, because there are other people who are thinking bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And there, it doesn't stop. Look at like Jeff Bezos, or the founder of Alibaba, or you know, other people. You know, they think really big. I don't know, like how. I don't know if I can ever, like, you know, be. I don't want to be like them, but the whole thinking big is on the next level, basically. So it starts with thinking big. You have to be tolerant to risk, I would say. And in Sunamas, we have taken some, I would say pretty calculated risks. No, we did look at like the downside, and the downside was, well, look, like for example, going into Westfield was a huge risk from Whitechapel Market right into Westfield. It didn't happen by itself. It took us 6 months worth of convincing, like, yeah, we are the people that will make it happen, and we will listen to everything that they say, and we'll do everything as per their recommendations. And we have done. But they weren't just going to give it to us. They made us like jump through hoops and hoops and hoops and hoops and too many hoops. But alhamdulillah, so from trading in market stores where you're paying like £20 a day for a pitch, okay? And it's like, it's a daily thing. You only pay for the day that you trade. Then you go into like almost paying 100 grand rent in a year, which is like quite crazy for a small
£20 a day, yeah.
from a small space. So yeah, risk, you have to be tolerant to risk. And again, yeah, you have to weigh the downside. So number one would be thinking big. Number two would be you have to be able to take risk. And I would say number three was that burning passion, desire for being in aviation. And obviously, I also saw an opportunity in the market at that time. Now, where Firna started with that big whole vision of becoming a long haul operation, but unfortunately, it kind of is, but step by step, it came down to becoming very small. And this is what I realized later on, that this is, for given where I am, given the resources that I have, given the contacts that I have, this is what I can do. So alhamdulillah, this is what I settled for. But the vision of becoming a big operator one day, inshallah, is still intact. Again, you know, being an entrepreneur is about adapting to your surroundings. Look at the current pandemic situation. Aviation is one of those industries that have been hit the hardest, yes. I would say. Like the fleets are grounded, like airports are shut, the flights are stopped. Imagine, like, and then now I look back, like, imagine I did become one of those, okay, imagine Allah like somehow made me open a big company like that way I imagined. I would have been dead by now, like, you know, the
Islamic Thomas Cook.
Exactly. So with all of this happening, so I think,
yeah,
I like to think it was a positive thing that it didn't happen the way I hoped it would happen. Initially, it's very hard to digest, but again, so jumping from retail to aviation is an enormous jump. It's you don't really kind of take those jumps, to be honest. In reality, if you were to ask me, like, would you take that jump again? If so, how? I would probably take a different route. Maybe not jump straight, but I would take a slower approach. That's what I've learned with Firnas, and you know, many valuable lessons that I've learned in Firnas that made me a very, very, I would say, in my opinion, a strong, well, I like to think it made me a stronger person.
So obviously, this is kind of catered to young people. So when it comes to aspirations in young boys and girls that you see now, what do you think could really make them want more from their lives? Because many young people are complacent. They like to like sit home and think that life will like kind of fall into place for them. But really, to aspire for something, to have motivation for something, is a big driver.
I think one thing I've noticed in my journey, at least, I think young people, they're not really kind of they're not 100% kind of, if they are the way they are, I think it needs to go above, like parents as well. They need to kind of be involved in this whole discussion, because if parents don't inspire people to take some level of risks, then they're not going to try things. And if you look at our community, at least, we're quite risk averse in terms of the level of tolerance we have for risk.
Yeah.
So we don't encourage people to try new things out, or we don't encourage them to be innovative and do new things. So I think that support needs to be there to start with. And when it comes to the actual people, if someone isn't cut out for entrepreneurship, then it's fine. You don't have to be a businessman, and you can be very successful working in one of the largest four accounting firms as a director or something, where you're earning like almost £500,000 a year. So that's a job, and it's very successful job. You could do that. There are a lot of people who are doctors, lawyers, solicitors. It's great. However, if someone wants to be an entrepreneur, I guess the satisfaction that you get from entrepreneurship is a whole different satisfaction, where you kind of control how you do your things, you control your diary, you control your timing, when you go sleep, when you wake up. No one's kind of telling you, that you should wake up in Ramadan early morning and you have to run to work or something. That I guess these are the benefits that you get for being an entrepreneur. So for young people, I think being an entrepreneur isn't really like, they don't have to be entrepreneur. If they don't want to be, that's fine. It's perfectly fine, and we should encourage them to do what they're doing and do it in a very good way. However, if they want to be in entrepreneurship, I would say start small. Like start where you don't have to spend money to sell something, if that makes sense. So for example, recently I was helping my friend. It's a grocery delivery app company, where literally it's like a aspirational brand of Ocado, but for an Asian community. So again,
like cash and carry vegetables.
Yeah, literally, like your everything gets delivered to your door. Your trolley boy, bad boy, the rice, the whole lot,
Spices, everything. Okay.
Fun even. So the idea was, look, how do we start very small, and how do we keep that cost so low, and then make the brand, say, get £2,000. I always talk about money. 2,000 signups.
Okay.
And then then you're in a position to kind of start talking to investors. A lot of people ask me, oh, how do I raise capital for my company? And then when I start speaking to them, it's not even like they've kind of haven't even made any progress, and they're talking about capital and fundraising. Fundraising isn't fun. Having investors hounding you and looking over your shoulders isn't fun. However, there is a stage where if you want to take your company to another level, then yes, you need external investors to come and pump in the money and grow that company. But a lot of people just want to raise money when they don't even need the money. Like, you can actually start a company without money, and there's so many things you can do. Okay, let me rephrase that. Not without money, but with very limited money, and you can grow that over time. And another thing I say, look, if you can't commit 3 years without anything in return, then it's not going to happen, because there's so many twists and turns and ups and downs in a startup environment, where you think, for example, something, but you're actually totally wrong. You're completely kind of off key on that assumption. Same thing happened with like all my grocery. We're like thinking, people are queuing up outside and it's gonna kill it, and people are gonna just come to us. But it was completely opposite. Even young people, they were like, well, actually I'm a bit old-fashioned when it comes to meat and stuff. So we did not ever anticipate you'll find resistance in behavior change. But this is something that you can either say, you know what, I give up, forget it. And this is what a lot of people do as well. They just start and they give up. So yeah, starting small, continuing, consistency, discipline, and determination, and increasing your knowledge up here as well. Reading the right kind of books. that give you that mental muscle to withstand any forces that are kind of coming your way. And entrepreneurship, you're like literally like Matrix.
Yeah.
You're literally dodging
Yeah.
all the time, like not dodging in a bad way, but like, a lot of things get thrown at you.
Mm. Yeah. Wow. No, it's a lot. I just wanted to finish with this last question because we've been told that you have to go again. Very busy man, mashallah.
I'm actually due to go to my gym.
Inshallah. Okay, the last question that I want to ask is because a lot of young people, they want to make money hungry, and that's natural, I suppose, especially in the world we're growing
Good
up.
to be money hungry. Listen, a lot of people say, "Oh, you shouldn't be money hungry." No, listen, money does solve problems, and it's good to have money as
Yep.
long as you don't abuse it.
Of course, yeah, that's the one important thing. But I want to ask more on the whole, for like, how would you start up a new business? What's the most important things that you have to be aware of from a business perspective with regards
Okay.
to your networking and all that sort of stuff?
I'd say if someone is starting business, number one, try to get a mentor from somewhere, someone who's done some sort of businesses before. Like, don't think like, yeah, I know it and I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna find my own way around. Yeah, you're gonna find your way around ultimately, but you're gonna make £1,000 worth of mistakes that you could have saved, and months of waiting that you could have kind of made progress with because of that person connection. So I would say definitely if you can find someone who is in business and who would kind of guide you through in terms of the whole startup phase. Secondly, would be a good market. It has to be a solid market that you can tap into, and it's something that is solving the problem. For example, all my grocery, although it seemed at that time was the best thing that's going to happen to the throughout the pandemic, but it kind of, yes, it's getting orders, mind you. It's not like it's not the end of the show. But that's the recent startup I kind of helped, so I can remember from my memory like what the phases we went through. So having a market, yes, the market might not be fully ready for you, but it's about being patient enough for that market to develop, or maybe you go out and develop that market, teach customers. Like, for example, so it's quite contradictory. So Apple came and showed us how mobile phones should be, or it told us what we need. Until before that, we didn't know we needed an Apple phone. So there's that aspect, like, which is very innovative, which is very revolutionary. Or you come from the other aspect where you see the gap in the market and you really be honest to yourself, like, is this really going to work? Maybe trial it out with family and friends, try and get some orders, see if people are paying money for it before you start spending thousands of pounds. Trial it out, do it amongst your family and friends and see if they want it. I really like some of these youngsters that come to me recently, by the way, where they offer me like shakes, cakes, bake. And I appreciate it because this is for them like real life market research. And I would encourage anyone to never ever overlook the whole market size element. It doesn't have to be a big business idea. It could be a small idea that you can innovate, or it could be an existing market that is so outdated, and you go in and you innovate.
It.
So that's that. So for example, atar has always been around. So before Sunnah Mas in this country, people always wore atar, but the conception of atar was you only wear it when you go Hajj or Umrah or something, or when uncle comes back from Hajj, where he comes back with a strong smell. That's the perception people had, and we had to deal with that. And alhamdulillah, we kind of changed the whole market environment for that matter. The next one would be branding. Like, how else are you going to differentiate yourself from everyone else? Get an agency on board. There are very good agencies. If anyone wants to know, they can go to my website or get in touch with me. I would definitely listen with information. I never hold back. A lot of people in our community, and I've faced that challenge. Like, when I ask someone, "Oh, where did you get this from?" and they're like, "Yeah, go Google it up on internet." Oh, thanks. So I'm always happy to share information. If someone wants information, like where I do certain things, happy to tell them this is where I get it done. So no problem with that. So creating a brand identity is super, super, super important. It's like brand is like creating an artificial person. You know, it's giving the features, colors, tone of voice, you know, what it does, how it says things. You know, people think brand is just like, you know, going on like Elance or maybe Fiverr and getting a logo made or something.
Yeah.
It's not about branding. Is not about logo. Branding is, yes, there is a logo element to it, which kind of identifies about who you are and, you know, how you are, but it goes way beyond that in terms of when it comes to branding. So creating a solid brand is super important. Professionalism is very important. A lot of people think, yeah, let me just get some pictures from Google, for example. So we have this situation where you can either get some pictures from Google or you buy the pictures. I always obviously opt for the buying option because then it gives it that professional touch. So professionalism is super, super important. Looking slick as well. Like, you know, you can't, like, if I'm trying to sell you a high value item and I put it in a, like, you know, on the floor, it doesn't really, you're not going to give it that value. Now, if I come with an average product, package it up, and, you know, bring it to you in a nice way, then you'll at least appreciate like I've made the effort, I've put in the work, so you pay me a little bit extra. So
Yep.
there are a few cake companies that I was talking to recently, and I told them, look, every house has a baker now. So how are you going to differentiate?
Yeah.
Okay, branding.
Especially after COVID.
Exactly, every house has a baker.
Yeah.
So yeah, branding, all of that is super, super duper important. And man, like, no, I think the biggest one is, it's all fun, like the first 3 months starting up, getting things ready, you know, putting everything together, the moment of truth, where like, okay, now it's time to launch. Is it actually going to make money? And if it doesn't, don't get disheartened. Carry on, keep going until, you know, until it works. And this is where, like, you know, I feel like being independent is super duper important, because investors, if they put money in, then they will become impatient, and as a result they'll give you stress, and then you can't really focus on on what you're doing. You're always worrying about, like, oh my god, this guy's going to chase me, or that guy's going to chase me, you know, he wants to know what I've done with the money. Or maybe you made a mistake and, you know, now you don't know what the hell to do. So I think, if you're in startup phase, forget about capital. Don't raise capital until you've got maybe about 10 grand worth of revenue coming in minimum a month. Then it gives you a leverage as well. It gives you a stronger position to be in, to go to someone and say, look, I'm giving you an opportunity instead of begging for money. At startup, you're effectively begging for money. But when you go as a business, as an opportunity, then they've got something to see as well. And, you know, you present an opportunity as well. So yeah, man, like, keep going. I would say the biggest one of all of this would be just keep going. Be relentless, and don't look back. Don't look at what, you know, other person's gonna say, oh, he flopped, or it's not happening, is it? I told you so. You know, those people. There are a lot of people who are there just to give you free advice.
Yeah.
But they haven't even been in business themselves. Free advice, trust me, you get everywhere. Free advice, you know, there is no shortage of. But be careful of, you know, what you listen to, because over time, this stuff actually kind of starts sinking into you if you don't kind of continuously listen to audio tapes. So listen, I suffer from these problems as well, yeah, where I continuously have to remind myself, like, you know, okay, this is what business people do. This is what, you know, what you're supposed to do. It's constant reminder to stay away from the pressures and the negativity, because sometimes you can forget things as well. So, and that brings me to education aspect. And if you have that mentor or someone who can guide you through, they will tell you what to do. They will even, like, you know, solve a problem. Like, they have so much experience. A lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs, startup entrepreneurs would think, okay, well, he's only like, what, 10 years more experience. But you were saying like, no, like, don't think 10 years, don't discard 10 years worth of experience, because they've been to places that you haven't been yet, and they can share that, reflect that experience that you could, where you could potentially lose money. And they can also, open up doors for you. And I've done that with alhamdulillah, and it's blessings from Allah. I love, one of my passion, I'm very passionate about networking with people, getting to know new people, particularly the people that are important people. So I like to definitely open doors for people, and I have done so, and it worked out. So I've been saying a lot of things, mentor, market size, branding, consistency, determination, focus, and all of that, and education. Entrepreneurship, it's a state of mind you have to be in. It really is. You either really, you may not have it. I probably had it, but I didn't know I had it until I started reading books about thinking big and how to set off. I forgot setting goals.
Okay.
If you don't know where you're going, then you're not gonna get there. So I think, sorry, I missed that one. I don't know how I could miss that one. It's about setting goals first, like setting goals with dates and times, and following it through. Even if they are so unrealistic, yes, try to make it realistic. But even if they are, if you think they're not possible to achieve, just write it down, and don't try to type it with a computer. Writing it with your hand is like engraving in your brain.
Okay, yeah.
Trust me, it works. Write it down, have a diary or whatever, and write your goals down with dates and the days that you want, by when you want to achieve it by. One person I would recommend, one course or one seminar, is by a guy called Jim Rohn. He's got a very good method of setting goals, and it's a step-by-step guide on how to set your goals and effectively how to achieve it. So Jim Rohn, till today, before I started my entrepreneurship journey, I listened to his audio tapes. I still listen to his audio tapes. So Jim Rohn, everyone should listen to him. Earl Nightingale, everyone should listen to him, because these are like really super powerful stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, if anyone wants help from me, that honestly, people think I'm not going to respond back to them. A lot of people say to me, "Oh, I didn't think you're going to respond back to my IG message."
Yeah.
I'm like, why would you think that? I love to help my community. And in fact, I encourage, sometimes when I see someone doing good, I go out of my way. I say, listen, you got something here, please, do it that way, and, make it happen, make it go big.
Oh, mashallah. I think it's just because, obviously, I mean, in the eyes of a normal person, you've achieved success, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah, I have a very high
expectation
of myself. So I feel like, I've got a long way to go if Allah gives me the health, and if Allah protects me from, any danger or any illnesses. Then I want to inspire, I want people to be able to relate to me, especially the religious folks, who, there is a tendency again in our society where if you want to make it big, then you have to shave your beard off, and if you're a woman, you have to take your hijab off, and then that makes you success. I don't believe in all of that. I feel as a human beings, everyone's gifted with the same quality. Yes, some people are exceptionally, talented with qualities that not everyone has, but I think we can all develop ourselves.
And with that, we'll leave it there, inshallah. I mean,
thank you so much.
I go on and on. I don't know what's happened.
It's really interesting.
Before, I couldn't even talk to save my life. Now, since the Channel 4 documentary came out, I'm like, I can't stop talking anymore.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, if people want to see about my journey and the aviation stuff, then definitely they should check out YouTube, How to Start an Airline. It's funny, it's entertaining, but I've been told it's quite inspirational as well. So that's something that people can watch, and if that motivates them, then
Yeah, definitely. Anyone looking to start an airline in the next few months or anything,
No,
give it a
don't
go.
start an airline now. Don't go anywhere near aviation.
Okay, yeah, give it a few years.
You know what? Food business is the one to focus
Food
on.
business, as in restaurant or
Restaurant, anything related to food. Because as long as there's human beings, there's
demand for food.
yeah.
Yes.
Are you sure you're just not hungry?
I am quite hungry.
No, but honestly, Jazakallah khair for sitting with us. Alhamdulillah. This has been a
Jazakallah.
brilliant session.
I appreciate you guys. I'm sorry I couldn't, give more time, but I'd love to,
Don't worry, Shal. There's always part two. There's always part two.
Always part two.
inshallah. And yes, let me be a bit selfish. If anyone's watching, follow me on IG or LinkedIn, wherever I'm mostly active in. Kazim MS Rahman is my name. And by the way, my name isn't Kazim. A lot of people call me Kazim. It annoys me. My name is Kazi. So yeah, well, Kazi Shafiqur Rahman.
Kazi Shafiqur Rahman.
Yeah.
Khair, brilliant. Okay, then Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah.
Inshallah. And speak to you soon.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.